organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Tonight on Daily Iowan TV, Bully Pulpit, how an Iowa City Student Center is handling the presidential campaign.
Plus, Wizarding War, see which military is training its soldiers by working to keep Harry Potter safe.
Spring squalls. Denver International Airport reopens after shutting down from a surprise snowstorm.
A new NBA rule has everyone going crazy in the sports world.
Find out in sports how this might affect Iowa's season next year and how other college teams are responding to the rule change.
Good evening, glad you could join us. I'm Cole Johnson.
And I'm Maria Palladino.
A former International University of Iowa student is pleading guilty to murdering his girlfriend nearly 2 years ago.
Jiangnan Li entered his plea during a day-long hearing Wednesday in Wenzhou, China. Last May, Li surrendered to Chinese police. He fled the U.S. after his 20-year-old girlfriend, Tong Zhao, was found stuffed in the trunk of a car in September of 2014. Tong was an international student at Iowa State University.
China does not extradite its citizens, but can still put citizens on trial regardless of the crime's location after the guilty plea. The case's point of contention is whether or not Li planned the murder.
As this school year winds down, the Iowa State Legislature is already looking to the next. Wednesday, officials rallied to agree on an education budget for this coming 2016 to 2017 school year. Chris Cervantes reports.
A year after a political deadlock rumored negotiations between parties, state representatives and senators compromised to increase funding in K-12 schools across the state of Iowa. Officials hope that this increase of 2.2% will benefit schools in the long run by an added cumulative of high school graduates.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, this has been the worst 6 years in Iowa history as it relates to our investment in local schools.
A 2.2% increase may seem like a lot of money, but certain members of the House and Senate disagree. In fact, they believe that more funding is needed to ensure job security for teachers. Of the politicians that are unhappy with the final budget, two of the most vocal are State Representatives Cindy Winkler and Governor Terry Branstad, both of which see several issues with the compromise.
Cutting teaching positions, they're cutting administrative positions, they're cutting paraeducator positions, they're doing a 10% across the board cut.
The amount that the House and the Senate has been able to agree upon as a compromise is below what I recommended.
Officials will be meeting across the year in order to decide on how this budget will influence future education policy. Reporting from Des Moines, Iowa, this is Chris Cervantes, Daily Iowan TV.
Iowa City Police believe they have finally tracked down the man responsible for a 1985 murder. Anthony Birch was arrested Thursday in relation to the death of Lance DeWoody, who was found dead at the UI Oakdale campus in Coralville over 30 years ago. DeWoody was said to be in a relationship with Birch's wife at the time. The police charged Birch with first-degree murder.
Two-thirds of Iowa's counties have seen a fall in population since 2010. According to the U.S. Census estimates released Thursday, the Hawkeye State has seen major reshuffling of people towards urban areas. Johnson County has the second largest percentage of population growth in the state. The census data shows 71 of the state's 99 counties lost residents over this period. This trend towards urban areas is reflected nationwide. Residents of Dallas County grew 21%, while Johnson County saw more than a 10% increase. On the other side of things, Clayton County lost over 1,300 residents.
Well, Maria, I'm really relieved that we didn't actually get any snow. I was a little worried about it.
I was too. I'm not a big fan of winter in the springtime, but let's toss it over to Sydney Zatz in Weather Studio for more on what's been going on with the weather recently. Sydney?
Iowa City avoided the spring snow that blanketed parts of the Midwest yesterday. Denver is digging up from nearly a foot of snow a day after 70-degree temperatures. The surprise storm forced Denver's International Airport to shut down Wednesday. It did reopen Thursday. As for the weather closer at home, you can expect temps to start to warm up starting next week. Friday morning, we'll see clear skies at around 27 degrees. Throughout the afternoon, we can start to see partly cloudy skies as the temperature rises up to 43. Now at night, the skies might be clear, but won't be much warmer. Looking on into the weekend, we'll have a high of 52 on Saturday. We can also expect a chance of rain early next week. However, we'll see clear skies and our temperatures will start to climb up. We'll see a high of 67 Wednesday. And for those who might be heading to Wisconsin for the holiday weekend, a Badger State is also declared a state of emergency. This comes after the same winter storm, Selene, that hit the Rocky Mountains that also left Wisconsin with 13 inches of snow. Make sure if you're traveling this weekend to drive safe. That's your weather for this week. Enjoy your weekend.
We're only months away from the presidential election, and the debate is only heating up. All over the nation, people are arguing over the issues, and some are turning to their local religious leaders for guidance. But not all are willing to endorse one candidate over the other. Instead, Becca Scotton takes us into the Newman Center, where one local leader teaches to the issues, not the politics.
While the church doesn't attempt to persuade anyone's vote, political issues still do find their way into their conversations.
What we do is deal with issues, and there are obvious kinds of issues. We deal with life issues, life and death, immigration, prejudice, those kinds of things, because they deal with what the Gospels teach. And that's what we're about, teaching what Jesus taught us.
With election season in full swing here in Iowa City, many people have been talking about which candidates they support. However, some people in the community believe that this should remain a personal decision.
It makes no sense to me to endorse a political candidate. As a clergy person, it makes no sense at all. Because we believe in the primacy of individual conscience. We talk about how their conscience views the things that are of concern to them.
For some issues, the church holds political opinions which have strong roots in their faith.
If it's immigration, let's say, we talk about the dignity of humankind and how there is a scriptural background for dealing with immigration. There is. We have to honor those people that come to us in need. People that come in times of war and in times of strife that need help. We have to do those things. That's something that we do because they're human beings and not because of any other reason.
Reporting from the Newman Center, this is Becca Scadden for Daily Iowan TV.
Iowa men's basketball season came to a close on Sunday, meaning Coach Fran McCaffrey will move on from 5 senior leaders.
But there may be a 6th upperclassman leaving Iowa City for greener pastures. Taylor Brooks and Katie Reber are standing by in the sports studio with more on what the future may hold for this Hawkeye Junior.
Thanks, Cole and Maria. With the new NBA rule, it basically pushed back the final deadline for players to decide if they'll leave for the league or return to school until 10 days after the NBA's scouting combine. Previously, you had to drop out of the draft in mid-April, basically pushing it back almost a month for these players.
And for Iowa junior Peter Jock, it's simply just testing the waters after averaging 16.1 points and 3.5 rebounds per game this past season.
The Des Moines native expressed in a statement on Wednesday, "I would like to take advantage of opportunity that is now presented to underclassmen and going through the process of obtaining input from NBA personnel so that I can make an informed decision about my future. For me, this whole process is for the experience to see how it all works and then return to work on my game."
Jock has always been close to head coach Fran McCaffrey and believes it's comforting having support of Coach McCaffrey and staff. Coach will continue to be a valuable resource for me during this process. If it's not the right time for me to make the move to the NBA, I'm excited about returning and leading our team next season.
Jock isn't the only player at the collegiate level who is looking towards the NBA. Purdue freshman Caleb Swanigan is also taking advantage of the new NBA rule. Swanigan averaged 10.2 points and 8.3 rebounds in his first season as a freshman with the Boilermakers.
Some coaches even got in on the new rule. Kentucky's John Calipari turned to Twitter to react and make it well known how much he liked the new rule.
The first tweet stated that when the season's over, it's about each individual player and what's right for them and their families.
With a tweet following, with that being said, every player who is eligible for the draft, including our walk-ons, will submit their names for the NBA draft.
Obviously, this is completely different than recent years. It'll be interesting to see what players decide, but I think that this is a good thing to get to just test the waters a little bit.
Absolutely. Gives the players a little bit more control in their future, for sure.
Exactly. There's one Iowa football player, though, Katie, who has his life on hold right now. It's been 4 months now since defensive end Drew Ott filed paperwork to medically redshirt for a 6th season with the Hawkeyes. The Big Ten has granted Ott a 6th year, the NCAA not yet.
After a season-ending ACL tear against Illinois last season, head coach Kirk Ferentz has his fingers crossed while the NCAA continues to drag this out.
I've had, some encouraging news just from other cases. The basketball player from Temple had a case similar to Drew's, and just learned actually yesterday about Case Keenum, who's playing for the Rams right now. When he was at Houston, he actually got a 6-year redshirted 1 year, played 3, and then was injured in his 5th year and got a 6 year. So, there's some cases out there that will give you encouragement.
Other news on the injury front, Greg Maben and Ben Neiman weren't on the depth chart. They're out for spring ball due to injuries in the offseason. And as for the rest of the team, it's about filling those holes of seniors who graduated, especially in the wide receiver position and the tight end position.
On offensive receiver position, certainly is, we lost 2 really good players there with Defon and Jake. So, how the young players are going to come along, how they're going to develop, how they're going to push forward. I feel pretty good about, knowing what Matt Vandenberg, what he is and who he is, how he'll play. The same thing about tight ends. Henry Krieger, Coble is a guy who maybe wasn't flashy in his play.
Now, speaking of those seniors, the future was at their fingertips on Monday when it was Iowa's NFL Pro Day. 18 Hawkeyes participated in the workout and 2 stood out to NFL prospects. And Coach Ferentz just mentioned them.
Tight end Henry Krieger Coble ran the 40-yard dash in 4.8 seconds and had a 33.5-inch vertical jump. Jonathan Hayes of the Cincinnati Bengals put Krieger Coble through the workout and claimed it went very well.
Another impressive performance was wide receiver Tavon Smith. Smith ran a 4.41 in the 40 and had a 38-inch vertical jump. Smith was said to have a great workout.
Others that impressed NFL scouts not only at Pro Day but also at the Combine were kicker Marshall Kane and center Austin Blythe.
That's right. It will be extremely exciting to see where these players end up and who can grab those free agents.
Definitely. As for the present day in this upcoming Easter weekend, Iowa spring sports are in full action.
That's right, Taylor. Baseball is in Iowa City against Maryland for a 3-game series. Iowa softball opens Big Ten play at Indiana, while men's tennis resumes Big Ten play at Wisconsin and makes a quick turnaround back to Iowa City on Sunday to face Minnesota.
Women's tennis is home all weekend against Wisconsin and Minnesota as well, starting Friday afternoon and then Sunday at 11 a.m.
We will have all the recaps from those games next week, starting on Easter Sunday.
To stay updated over the weekend, though, keep up with DailyIowan.com or follow the Daily Iowan Sports page on Twitter at DI_sports_desk. Marie and Cole, back to you.
Expecto Patronum!
Mentors of Azkaban prison.
This week, we learned the Israeli Defense Force is using the Wizarding World from J.K. Rowling's book series to train its soldiers. These are cadets in the IDF Cyber Command. They are training in a simulation battlefield, Hogwarts. The objective? Protecting the school on a number of exercises from the Dementors, and even Potions Professor Severus Snape.
The IDF says the goal of the week-long simulation is to get new soldiers acclimated to fighting an enemy for the first time.
That's all we have for you tonight on Daily Iowan TV.
Be sure to check out our website, DailyIowan.com, for all the latest news between now and Sunday. For Daily Iowan TV, I'm Cole Johnson.
And I'm Maria Palladino. Have a good night.